are not welcomed here. Remove yourself. Remove yourself.
So welcome back to the channel, folks. Today's video I am covering the System Shock remake. Now this is a PC release only, and this one has been in development since 2016, but fair play to Night Dive Studios, it has finally come out and it is so polished. It's probably one of the most polished PC releases I have seen this year. So those extra delays were really worth it in the end, and I think that's an actual important statement with general releases at the moment. Anyway, back to the core of this review. This is a remake of the original System Shock, which was released in '95, and I have no previous history with this game. I suppose the games that I have played are System Shock 2 and the BioShock series that came thereafter. So for the purpose of this review, I'm just going to break it down to two key elements: the atmosphere and the gameplay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a little snippet of the audio in particular, which drives forward the story in this game. So even with ignoring the ambient sound in this game, you can thank System Shock, the original game, for introducing audio logs. It's just genuinely such a brilliant way of immersing the player as they start to discover the space station Citadel and what actually, slowly piecing together what actually has happened here. And realistically looking at it, System Shock is probably one of the daddies of immersive FPS sim games, kind of a hybrid really. And that's nearly a word of warning. This game does not hold your hand. Please do not expect arrows pointing you in the direction of what objective is next. You genuinely have to read and listen and remember and use your map to remember where you need to go next and how to progress. And another important aspect of this is the text needs to be written well, and the dialogue is excellent in this, whether it's text format or it's delivered through the voice comms.
Todd got the combination for the armory on medical. It's 7:05. Once we're armed, some of the survivors went ahead for the flight deck and escape.
So as for the rest of the audio and visual design, the System Shock remake really excels at kind of recreating this haunted atmosphere. That made obviously the original game so beloved. And as I said before, my experience really was with System Shock 2, but this actually feels like I'm playing an enhanced version of System Shock 2 nearly. And this game is unnerving. I highly recommend you play this with a headset to get the best level of atmosphere. And then the final piece of that atmospheric puzzle is of course Shodan. This rogue AI is probably one of the creepiest antagonists in any video game. And it's kind of really relevant right now with everything going on with ChatGPT and what actually could happen in reality where an AI went essentially rogue.
Who are you? The computer nodes can be repaired, but you... Who are you? My cameras and sensors scan your body, but you do not match any employee file. When my cyborgs bring you to an electrified interrogation bench,
I will have your secrets.
and you will learn more about pain than you ever wanted to know.
So as for the gameplay itself, I really think it's like a lovely seamless blend of old and new. I suppose in order for me to kind of familiarize myself with the original game, I actually watched a couple of videos on YouTube before I did this review, in order for me to give a really fair assessment. And honestly, what it's done is it's made me really appreciate what they've actually done here with the remake. Combat being one of the most crucial aspects of the remake, really. It's been revamped from the 1995 experience to deliver kind of a satisfying blend of FPS and tactical decision making. Again, if you played System Shock 2, you will be fairly familiar with the design aspects of the gameplay and combat. All the weapons I've found so far all have their uses, they all feel impactful, and the game is gory as well. In general, the gameplay strikes kind of a really good balance between exploration, puzzle solving, and like the intense combat, really. So like there's so many secrets and hidden passages to find. The puzzles are really, really challenging, and as I said before, you gotta use your map. You gotta use your map, you gotta add markers, and you gotta remember where you need to go next, especially if you come towards locked doors or puzzles. Resource management is key too. This is more akin to a survival horror FPS than an actual action FPS, if that makes sense. And you can also recycle anything you find, really, to get yourself coins, which you can use to buy upgrades for the various weapons in the game. So if you're familiar with the BioShock series as well, it's got those restoration stations when you die. And from an immersion perspective as well, it's a really cool way they've done it. By default, it's actually disabled because when you die, essentially Shodan gets a robot, picks you up and turns you into a cyborg. So therefore, disabling it allows you to actually spawn in human, if that makes sense. If you're familiar with the BioShock series also, you will realize that these little hacking minigames, where they came from, this is for the power rerouting in the game. And the other really cool mini game, and it's a lovely little diversion from the main game, is kind of this like nearly psychedelic space shooter in a way. It actually reminds me of Descent, if anyone has ever played Descent 1 and 2. So essentially it's like the in-game hacking, let's say, but basically you're going around a 360 environment, shooting a lot of viruses, let's say, and trying to get to the exit. And it's got this really, really cool futuristic techno soundtrack in the background as well. So they give me this kind of 80s vibe, as in to say what the 80s thought the future would look like in a way, if that kind of makes sense. Anyway, really enjoyed these little mini games, and they definitely help break up the gameplay. Not that it needs breaking up, by the way, but again, adds another fresh layer to the whole gameplay experience. So let's get to the conclusion here. I genuinely believe this to be one of the best games in 2023. I really, really do hope we see a console release. Now, I know System Shock 2 is Enhanced Edition is coming to the consoles, but really do feel they should bring this one to the console as well. And the fact that this has gamepad support suggests there's no real reason why it shouldn't. Anyway, that's it for this review. Please share some comments down below. Let me know if you've played System Shock Remake or any of the games in the series. Would you like to see it to come to console? And if you're new to the channel, and if you've enjoyed this, please consider supporting me by subscribing. I'll chat to you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.
God, the title suits me well.